Oh, goody, goody, goody. Here we go. Chris Baker radio program. Good afternoon to you. It is, of course, Nebraska's news, weather, and traffic station, 1110 KFAB. I am Chris Baker, your host. Josh Odson is here to produce the big show and, of course, screen phone calls and also add witty banter to the show. Funny witty banter. By the way, I want you to go to the blog because I cannot stop. This is infectious.
One time, I gotta give my cat a bath. Check it. Like rubber dub. Gotta give my cat a scrub. Ravioli, acting like they know me.
I can't. If I play that whole thing, I'll be in hysterics by the end of it. Anyway, that video on the blog. Right now, let's get into more important issues. I think the Russians, I can't confirm, but allegedly the Russians, Vladimir Putin now hacking into the University of Nebraska. And of course, now anytime anything is hacked, I'm going to blame the Russians. Joining us right now, a very high-tech genius himself, host of Compute This Sunday mornings at 7 a.m., and, of course, the kingpin over at Computer Solutions, Thor Schrock, joins us here on the big show. How you doing, Thor?
Pretty good. The kingpin of Computer Solutions. That's a new one. I've never heard that one before.
Well, you know, I'm always throwing around the labels and nicknames, Thor, so it's just a gift I have.
Well, there you go.
So a lot of hacking news. We've had all this Russian allegations, Russian hacking this, Russians hacking that. And then last night I'm going through the news and I see that apparently somebody might have hacked into the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. And I said, you know what? I've got to know more about how easy this hacking stuff is. And Thor Schrock is the guy to talk to. So, Thor, I know you've hacked into many banks and stolen billions of dollars yourself. So,
that's how I started my company, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And
had to go legit.
Are we secure at all anymore? Is there anything private about our lives anymore the more we're on the net?
Well, here's the thing. You know, this particular server, let's give us some background here. What was hacked was when you go to college, and it's been many moons since I was in college, but when you go to college and you're going to take math classes, they have to know what math class to place you in. And so you take a math placement exam. Basically, they said to me, you need to go to pre-algebra. I'm like, oh, that's no fun. But then you take the test, they record your results, they tag your name to the test results, and your UNL student ID, which when I was going to college back in the day was your social security number. I have it on good accounts. That is no longer the case. So basically, this was a system, a database of people who took a math placement exam for UNL, their score, their test results, their name, and their UNL student identification number. So that's what we're talking about. Now, here's the thing about hacking. You don't know what's in a database until you get into the database. Mm-hmm. So, for example, this database, that information is pretty stupid. You're like, I'm going to steal that. Oh, you know, now what? I mean, if someday somebody decides to run for office, you can say, well, they're really bad at math. I mean,
you know what? It wouldn't surprise me to see someone try to use that.
Yeah, so I mean, but you don't know what's in there until you steal it, right? So
right.
It could have been in there. There could have been social security numbers in there. There could have been class schedules in there. The UNL student ID, for example, you could take that information and then hack a separate system. And if you knew the UNL student ID for a particular student, it might give you access to another system that you wouldn't have otherwise had access to in the past. So basically, it's a piece of a puzzle. And we don't know who did it, but the solution, the University of Nebraska sent a letter. They said there was over 1,000 students impacted. The round number that I'm hearing is about 30,000 students that took the math placement exam because it goes back in time. I mean, this was a long-running server that all it did was record completely worthless information that nobody really cared about. Therefore, it probably didn't get accessed very often. Therefore, it probably didn't get updated very often, and therefore, it was probably really, really easy to hack because the patches are what keeps things when vulnerabilities are discovered and they get patched. You have to have an IT administrator that patches that stuff. So their solution, UNL says in their letter to students, we have taken steps to mitigate this problem and prevent further access to the data. My question was, what steps did they take? They turned off the server.
Well, there you go.
They turned off. They pulled the plug. So it's like the system was so important that they could just unplug it. So You know, and then what that leads me to ask, though, is what other unimportant systems are there that either should be unplugged or should be properly monitored and maintained? And those are questions, you know, and in all fairness, if I'm in a situation where I am looking at, you know, hey, what am I supposed to do here? I just got hacked and a bunch of customer information is stolen. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is stop the bleeding. So I can't blame them for doing what they're doing. That's what they should do, stop the bleeding, send out a letter to notify so they don't get sued, and then figure out what the heck happened so they can stop it from happening ever again. It could very well have been a student, could have been a Russian exchange student, you know, Chris, that stuff happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could have been one of these long-term, you know, communist plants that lives in America for 50 years and then all of a sudden, you know, does crazy stuff. I've seen The Americans.
Oh,
so, yeah, so anyway, the information that was stolen is not earth-shattering. No UNL student or graduate or alum should feel at all threatened by this unless you had an incredibly poor math placement skill and you feel that information could publicly humiliate you. If that's the case, then, you know, you might have an issue.
Well, there you go. Thor Schrock with us here on the Chris Baker Radio program. Of course, from Schrock Innovations. I don't know where I'm getting computer solutions from. Schrock Innovations.
Well, that's kind of what we do, so it makes sense. I was rolling with it. You could have just let that go.
I can't do that, Thor. You're too good at what you do for me to be goofing this stuff up. Thor Schrock with us here on the Chris Baker Show. You can hear him every Sunday, 7 a.m. on Compute This. So, Thor, just here's what I'm trying to figure out. This whole hacking thing. How do these guys do this? I mean, because it seems to me that you have to know what website that you want to get to. You got to know how to get to it, and then you have to sit there and start trying to figure out the password.
Yeah, let me tell you a funny story. When we opened our Papillion Service Center in 2010, we had a new phone system put in by a local company here in Omaha who will remain nameless because to this day they will never set foot in my service center again. And basically, they put this phone system in. The phones were all in place. Everything was set up. And they didn't change the default password to the phone system. That's like Security 101.
Wow.
And so literally within a 24-hour period of that system going online, someone from the UK managed, they port scan. They have programs, and all they do is float on the Internet. They scan computer networks on the Internet and look for open ports. And once they find an open port, they ping the port. And when you ping it, it'll return and say, I'm a Mitel phone system. And, I know that the default password for a Mitel phone system, because you can find that on the Internet, is, admin password. So you try admin password, and boom, you're in. I can set up a virtual phone now, and I can make all kinds of calls to North Africa. And then I get my Cox bill, and I'm like, wow, apparently I have family in North Africa. That's crazy. And so, Cox did a good job taking care of us. We got the international calling lockdown on our phone system, and then we got the default password changed. To this day, I do not have the default password for that phone system. They will not give it to us.
Wow.
Which is even, boom. That's why we just decided to get rid of it and build our own phone system. It was just easier, which is really sad. But bottom line here is it's that easy. Within 24 hours, that phone system was identified and exploited. So all you have to do is, the University of Nebraska, if I go on campus, I hop on the Internet, I get an IP address. So I scan the IP address. And if I'm on the same network as you are, if I'm at the airport with you, and I scan, and we're all on the wireless, and I scan all the ports, it's going to show me Chris Baker's laptop.
Right.
And if Chris Baker's laptop doesn't have proper security, I can straight up access Chris Baker's laptop on that public Wi-Fi. I can do the same thing at Starbucks. I can do the same thing at any public Wi-Fi, which is why it's so important that you're using, good security software, antivirus, secure updater. You need to use the encrypted versions, which are now, it used to be you had to set it up. Now it's pretty much default for Facebook and Gmail and everybody else. They send you to the encrypted site.
Right.
And a great funny story, a friend of mine was at the airport. He needed power for his laptop. Guy next to him had a power strip with 5 open plugs, and he told him no, he couldn't have a plug. And so he was like, all right, buddy. And, he's he's a tech head. He's one of the top 100 bloggers in the country.
Yeah.
He opens up his laptop. He finds that the guy's using the unencrypted version of Gmail, accesses his Gmail account by skimming his password as he's entering it in real time, and changes his default language to Vietnamese. So, he didn't do it. He didn't steal the guy's money or anything. But, that's an incredibly difficult. If you don't speak Vietnamese, hopefully you're heading off in that direction because you're going to need someone to help you reset that back to English.
You know who could probably do that? Richard Marks, because he was just in the news on an airplane from Vietnam to somewhere with his wife, Daisy Fuentes. He got in a fight. So maybe he speaks Vietnamese.
Maybe he could have helped in that situation, but it was one of those things. It's like, okay, so on one hand, are we more vulnerable because there are so many digital things out there?
Right.
If we roll this back in time, before there was a central government really in the United States, there was no central record keeping. So are we more vulnerable because there's central record keeping in a filing cabinet somewhere? That someone can, J. Edgar Hoover can go look up a file or whatever. Are we more vulnerable? Yeah, we are. And there needs to be safeguards put in place, and now there are some safeguards put in place. And for the most part, with notable exceptions, those safeguards work. Now we're in a whole brave new Wild West world. And like I said, next year you're going to start hearing things about the Internet of Things. Anything in your house that's connected to the Internet can be hacked. Anything, your thermostat, your camera system, your security system.
Oh, wow.
Anything can be hacked and exploited. And no one's trying to hack it or exploit it. It's not like the movies where, the super hacker sits down and, I've got access to the house. I've unlocked the front door. The cameras are offline. They're showing pictures of cat videos right now. You're clear. It doesn't work quite like that. They just want to take control of your thermostat so they can use it to attack a website, so they can use it to send pings to another website, or find the next target, and it makes it untraceable. They can't figure out who is doing it, whether it's Russia or somebody else, because it went from the little old granny's thermostat on the wall. And she's not doing it, so somebody hacked her, and then somebody hacked them, and there's a whole chain that goes back. So this whole Internet of Things and this whole new brave new world of security that we're in, where everything needs a password, and there's so much information stored by so many companies. Do you know that some retailers now, when you walk through the front door, they know who you are based on your phone's Bluetooth signature?
Yes, and I've even been told that they can get your Bluetooth signature and actually start marketing you while you're shopping.
Absolutely. It's completely passive. So they don't have access to your phone or anything, but they know how often you come in. They know where you spend most of your time in the store. And when you come in, the marketing that appears, the digital marketing, can be completely customized to you.
That scares the daylights out of me.
Well, on one hand, it's scary. On the other hand, my gosh, when I want an updated weather report, it sure is nice that AccuWeather can just know exactly where I'm at and tell me what the weather's going to do today.
Yeah, that is true. It's funny you say that. I was just reading today that the time and temperature, there's a phone number you call for time and temperature. No one's called it in a long time. No one calls it anymore. It's just sitting there, just waiting. Nobody's calling anymore.
And that's a marketing problem. Maybe they just need a pithy quote of the day, like a positive affirmation, like the time and the temperature is, and happiness is, whatever.
Yeah.
But, I guess, the bottom line is, there's going to be a period, this is chaos theory, there's going to be a period where there is chaos created because of a lack of security. And from that chaos, that creative destruction, from that chaos, safeguards will be put in place that will make things harder to do. And then new vulnerabilities will be discovered. And this is going to be a never-ending battle going forward. I mean, right now, if we went back in time and you handed me a Windows XP computer that you had locked down with a password and you were super confident, if I hand that to one of my guys in here and we call you because you got your password wrong when you dropped it off, they can remove your password in like 10 seconds.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there is nothing secure about that operating system whatsoever anymore. But at the time, it was the bee's knees, right?
Right.
So this is going to be something that continues to go forward. There's always going to be the super hacker out there, and it's the job of companies, basically, to secure everything right now. And there is no central oversight for that. We just now have requirements for reporting. I mean, just in the last few years. So before this, if somebody got hacked, they didn't even have to say anything, like Yahoo.
So to summarize, we're really not secure at all. It doesn't sound like to me.
That's no. That's the bottom line is if you're looking for bank vault style security would require you to dismiss the digital technology from your life at this point.
Wow.
And you could be very secure because basically what you're saying is you want to revert back to older systems that have been tried and true and are tested and are been proven to be more secure. Or you can take all the benefits of modern technology and all the things it can do for your life and understand that it's going to be a little bit less secure, still make good decisions about what you do with your technology. Kids, don't send naked pictures of yourself to people. That's that simple. That stuff's going to come out at some point.
Yeah, Josh, I've been telling you that. I've been telling Josh this for weeks now.
I saw a picture of Josh yesterday. It was crazy. So, you know, it's...
I'm taking that as a compliment.
It was classy. It was classy, okay? So, you know, things like that, this stuff is going to come out. So don't do things with your technology that you wouldn't want your grandmother to see. Now, of course, every kid's going to do something with their technology their grandmother's going to see. And the generation coming up right now, and the generation possibly even that you know, came right before it, is going to have the uncomfortable realization when they turn 18, 20, 25 years old that every flippin' mistake they made as a youth has been documented forever.
Oh, boy. Oh, my
and
goodness.
there is no escaping it. I mean, that's it. In fact, Eric Schmidt was doing an interview a couple years back, and he said he envisions a time when it'll be just a rite of passage. When you turn 21, you'll have the right to change your name.
What?
So you can escape the indiscretions of your youth.
Oh, my gosh.
Because you'd have to completely
cow.
throw away your identity and build a brand new one. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing because, you know, who we are is kind of based on our experiences. But
Right.
So that's the thing. I mean, if you want that level of digital security, there are definite things that you can do to improve your levels of digital security. When's the last time you went through your phone and looked at all the apps and said, what is that app? Why do I have that?
Yeah,
and
what do
just
I need
uninstall
that
it.
for?
Yeah, what is that? I don't even know what that is. It came on the phone. I don't know what it is. Remove it. You know, when is the last time you did a password rule? Yeah, even though, you know, we're all supposed to have 16-digit character passwords that don't contain any English words. The Vietnamese guys, okay. And they can't have it. No, you know, no word combinations, anything like that. They have to be completely random. Letters, numbers, symbols, everything else, except for that one credit card website that won't let you use symbols, which is really a pain in the butt. So, you know, we all know we're supposed to do that. None of us do that. I don't do that. I should, but I don't because it's a pain in the butt to remember all the passwords. So I have a few go-to passwords I use. I have a financial password. I have a screwing around password on the internet for, like, this is a forum. I don't really care if somebody gets in there and posts on my Tech Talk forum. I don't give a whatever. You know, if you want to hack it, go for it. But it's a throwaway password. So if somebody gets my throwaway password, I don't really care. If somebody gets my financial password, that's a big deal. I roll that one periodically because it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So if you compartmentalize your life in that way, you can really dramatically increase the level of digital security you have. And then you got to think outside the box. You know, there are so many people. Chris, I'm telling you, there are people listening to your show right now that could not tell you what antivirus software they're running on their computer, or they're running whatever came with the computer 5 years ago, which has subsequently expired after 90 days, or they're running something that they got free from their internet service provider that's designed to keep the internet service provider safe and not them. If we ask your listeners right now, how many of them, when's the last time you updated Java? And they're like, I drank coffee this morning. That's great. No, I mean, that's the thing. Nobody takes this digital security seriously. And so when we get a hold of a computer that's been hacked and we tell people how they got hacked, and their head spins and like, how the heck am I supposed to handle that? And we say, you do this, you do this, you do this. Do those things, and you will be safe.
Wow.
We'll guarantee it. You will not get infected. And, you know, we have to push people. It's like, really? I mean, after what happened to you, you're going to pay me $200 to fix this, and then you're just going to let it happen again?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, and you know,
I'm
you know how it goes.
terrified now.
So
I'm just
people,
terrified
you know,
now.
if people take the advice and people do the steps, the really simple steps, because right now is a bad week to do this whole like you should be secure thing. No one's thinking about that right now. Everybody's thinking about Christmas right now. But after Christmas, after your grandkids and your nieces and your nephews and everybody else comes over and royally jacks up your computer, and you end up bringing it in here so we can unscrew it up for you, which happens every year. You know. At that point, we can make some good recommendations for you for security and for moving forward to make sure, like, for example, Netgear routers. You have a Netgear router at home. There are 2 Netgear models right now that you should immediately unplug and replace because they are not secure.
Wow. Oh man.
Yeah.
It's like I was writing on my blog earlier today that it seems to me that now when you're all on this all on the net and on this big grid of information, you really have no privacy anymore, and that I don't know, that worries me. Even though I really don't do anything, I go to work, I go home, and then I work again. So you know, myself personally, I'm not that worried about. If you're
not doing anything wrong,
people.
Chris, what are you worried about, man?
Yeah, what are you doing there? You know, what are you doing? Oh,
it's
boy.
all the ex-girlfriends looking up on you, isn't it?
You know, I got to tell you, all my ex-girlfriends are haunting me right now. It's good.
Oh, yeah,
I like it. It's good for my ego.
Did any of them ever buy you a star? Like a star registry? You know, that's like, you know someone listening right now bought someone a star for Christmas, and that's
right.
so 1999. So, but
Yeah, you got to buy a whole planet now.
Yeah. One
Keeping
star is
up
not
with the
enough.
Joneses.
What if you buy a star from somebody and then like you give it to them and it's supernovas?
Ooh.
Like, what do you do?
Well, then I guess their gift's no good after a while.
It's like you're super hot, and then you got super cold, and then you sucked the life out of me. I mean, that's not like a gift.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Thor Schrock, Schrock Innovations, who, by the way, have done great work for me in the past, and I certainly appreciate. That's why I go to you, Thor, because you know this stuff. You can also listen to Thor every Sunday morning, 7 a.m. right here on Nebraska's News, Weather, and Traffic Station, 1110 KFAB. Thor, thanks a lot, and now you've scared the daylights out of me, so I'm
Thank
terrified.
you, Chris. Well, in that news, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Right back at you, Thor. Take care, man.
Thank you.
All right, there he is, a great Thor Schrock. So there you go. Your life is on display. That's the way that I see it now. Your life is on display. I don't like that. Coming up on the program, by the way, at 3:40, we have some Moonbat email. And speaking of which, internet security, Fourth Amendment under attack. I know what you're saying. What do you mean Fourth Amendment under attack? Oh, wait till you hear what they're doing behind the scenes when it comes to your internet access. Chris Baker Radio Show, that's coming up right after Moonbat email at 3:40 on News Radio 1110 KFAB.
Chris Baker on News Radio 1110 KFAB.